Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Been patiently waiting, and we're gonna take it like that. You can stop what we think and make the we found out the right time, and we're right again.
Weeks after it all started on the Golden Coast, the INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series has traveled north to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, where on the Monterey Peninsula, the 2026 champion will be crowned. Hi folks, Arjuna Kankipati, alongside of the ever-wonderful Kenneth Bueno here on the INDYCAR channels, live on the iRacing Esports Network. And KB, what a monumental season we have had. Only one repeat winner, only one repeat pole sitter. And while yes, those are the drivers amongst our title fight, 33 drivers entered this crown of potential hopefuls 8 weeks ago, and what a season we have had.
We've had a fantastic season up until this point, Arjuna. Nothing short of excitement across the ovals and all of the road courses, and now we sit here 10 points between the top two in the championship, Arjuna. We couldn't ask for, once again, another fantastic title fight. We had it last season in 2024. We've got another great one shaping up here at Laguna Seca. Probably one of the more difficult tracks to drive to close it all out. Going to be all about discipline.
Technical, old school, and of course known for one corner in particular. And so this WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, as it has done many a time in the NTT IndyCar Series, will play host to the final round and our championship showdown, much like it will do later in 2026 in the real world as well. Let's talk about, though, what's at stake for our drivers, because amongst our 8 electric weeks, they have all been fighting for their share of the $50,000 prize pool. And this is how the points lie out, with just one round remaining, and effectively 6 drivers within points contention. You get 50 points for a race win, a couple of bonus points added in, but the magic number, KB, 49. And so Michele Costantini, a slender 10-point advantage over Luke McEwen. Michael Romanidis and Phil Kraus, 3rd and 4th position, before you get back to defending champion Diogo Pinto. Still mathematically has a chance, but he, alongside of his teammate Florian Lebigra, we expect them to be supporting Luke McEwen on his title hopes.
but still a proper chance for them as well. So if they can be aggressive, if they can find their way in the right place, should the race shape out in the way they would like to, it will be fun to see how aggressive they want to be independently if they want the championship. And given the way McEwen's season was consistent to start, then tapered off, and he finally got back in mid-Ohio. Costantini started off slow and then finally found his groove midway. It's been fantastic to see that both ways these two have been able to put themselves right here in this prime championship fight.
And look at someone like Cooper Webster, two unfortunate appearances where he has not joined us, one fault or another, no fault of his own, not involved in this fight really for our top 15. All sharing the $50,000 prize pool, but of course the champion walks away with the lion's share, $20,000 to their name, and of course trickling their way down. But everyone 15th through 5th is still fighting for something significant, could be as much as double that championship payout. Let's talk highlights, because the last round of the season, all set up, of course, by the penultimate round of the season. And when we made our way to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, it was you, the fans, that picked between this and the Barber Motorsports Park. Costantini qualified back in 10th, McEwen up there in 2nd, and that really told us the story. Redline ran rampant in qualifying, ran away at the front of the field as well as they really controlled the early stages. And while we saw some drama down to China Beach that took Sam Coiter out, on board with Alessandro Bico, who has been one of the rookies really shining, KB, as we reach the climax of this season.
Yeah, he's qualified back-to-back top 10s, including today here at the virtual Laguna Seca circuit. There's a look at Phil Kraus going around on a large stack up there outside of turn 7 and 8 back sector, and then of course the fight for the lead. This was the game-changing pass, Arjuna to the inside. Luke McEwen making his way underneath, and of course his red line teammates giving him all the support. A large get-back race from the back-to-back ovals that they had, in which they were struggling in qualifying, struggled to find their footing. Oh yeah, and more drama, by the way. Josh Thompson going around into China Beach and into the tire barrier while Luke McEwen stepped out in front.
It was a hard impact. Important, by the way, for McEwen, because that move saw him grab 10 extra championship points and really cut that gap even more. Here's a look at our Thrustmaster track analysis. The counterclockwise 2.5 odd miles of the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Previous winner was Diogo Pinto in what was his only win on his run to the championship, but elevation, KB. Everyone will talk about the corkscrew, but it's the corner before that's a bit more scary, if you ask me, as you climb up on that run up to that famed drop down the corkscrew.
And even apart from the elevation change that you see at the second sector where the corkscrew is at, lots of flat corners. You got to be very technically agile, especially off of the Andretti hairpin between 3, 4, 5, and then leading up to that Ray Hall straight that takes you sky high into the corkscrew. You got to be on 10 toes at all times. And by the way, sand around you everywhere. No chance if you slip up on a corner exit.
Eduardo Leo, for the first time this season, grabs pole position. He was race winner #1 in series history, but it's not all gone his way in 2026. Luke McEwen, championship hopeful, lines up alongside with Florian Labigra, rounding out the red line trio at the front. Alex Spetz, who's played his part in drama with McEwen. Think back to Portland, round 2 in the season. He starts on the outside of row 2 with Alessandro Bico continuing the fine form to potentially be one of the highest rookies this season. Continuing to work our way down through the field, Gustavo Ariel 6th, Peter Berryman then 7th alongside his Drago Racing teammate Ricardo Rico, while Jaden Munoz, who took advantage of the chaos between McEwen and Spetz to win at the Portland International Raceway, is alongside of potentially outgoing defending champion Diogo Pinto. Cooper Webster back in 11th has got the Hungarian David Toth for company as we find ourselves about a quarter of a second through the field and only 7 rows deep. Drago and Matteo and Romanides split row 7. Romanides some work to do to hold on to 3rd in the points. Belitiotis and Coiter split 15th and 16th respectively. Coiter hoping to stay out of the walls this time. Dan Amor, who has had maybe the least luck this season, also his maybe worst qualifying effort of the season alongside of Pablo Espez, with Tamas Shimon and Michele Costantini, his worst qualifying effort in the series history. Phil Kraus and Elliot Bayer on 21st and 22nd. See Josh Thompson and Balint Parna slot behind them, 23rd and 24th. While Kwame Scott, great to see the Nexus Esports pair join us this season. final chance we'll get to see them ride the road course alongside of Jacob Oser and Alex van der Sant, the final drivers with times on the board. So Tomuto and Mateo Kenza fall afoul of track limits on their qualifying attempts, as does Esteban Rodriguez, your top 30. And while we don't have the full 33, Rob Malechka and Alex Russell, Team Hype and Powerslide Motorsports teammates, slot in at the tail end of the field. Two compounds of tires, primaries, slightly harder grip up, a little bit less, but last a little bit longer. And you have to use the softer compound as well. Top 4 or so have all gone onto that red as we look at our Thrustmaster race analysis, KB, but a lot more drivers electing to choose the harder primary compound tire to start this race off.
And one of those is Michele Costantini, a driver who started so far back in this field through qualifying, had that one mistake on the second lap that cost him a shot at potentially being possibly in the top 10 within range of Luke McEwen for the title. Here's a look at the tire compounds. You have to use both of them in any given road course race. You can either start with the primaries that are slower at the beginning, but they last a lot longer on a long green flag run, which we'll see here tonight. And then that alternate tire, the red sidewall tires, they're faster on the short run. They have a cliff around lap 8 or 9. Give or take a couple of those laps, then it'll start to hit that crossover point. But of course, you have to use both, so it's all been about the strategic method, Arjuna, that drivers have spent either overcutting or undercutting on the set of tires to get as much grip as possible. And especially here at Laguna Seca, it's going to matter a lot.
Always fun when we have the two compounds, especially when you see the track temperature on the left. By the way, you'll see our Championship 6 highlighted in red, and Costantini all the way down in 20th position. Has got a lot of work to do. For Luke McEwen, the task is pretty simple. If he wins, well, if Costantini finishes any lower than second, it's day done. And if Costantini finishes second, we go to bonus points. And that will make KB and my life, well, about as difficult as you could hope for. But it's not been a hard job, has it, this season? What a season it has been, this 2026 INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series. 7 electric races with 6 different winners. Could Luke McEwen on the outside of the front row be ready to convert 2 race wins into a potential title? The green flag drops, we're racing on the Golden Coast, and Luke McEwen has got to feel the pressure from behind. Alessandro Bico and Alex Spetz tucked in amongst the red line trio as we funnel down the hill into the Andretti hairpin. And now, at the very bottom of the track, begin the climb, slowly unwind, put the power down. No push to pass active on this opening lap of the race, and so full aggression from those who started on the alternate tire further behind. Look at the chaos as Matteo, Berryman and Toff all on top of the cars in front of them. Through the left-hander KB, and now hopefully single file they'll get stretched out as Thompson loses a whole bunch of ground, and all up to the corkscrew they go.
And you see some potential damage from Michele Costantini. He was a car astray at the exit of turn 4 and turn 5. He had a bump from behind by one of the red line cars on the straightaway, and there's more chaos in front of him. He's had to ditch off track several times. He's there through the corkscrew, so this championship pursuit has been turned sour on the opening lap.
Costantini and Tamas Simone both have meatball flags and will be headed back to pit lane. You can see that car is twitchy. And so now it's basically academic for Luke McEwen to stay out of trouble. Florian Labigra, who sits second on the road right now, is in position, KB, to jump up to third in the points through all of this, as red line 1, 2, and 3 push to pass active, and Jaden Munoz the first to start to dip into the reserve.
And now if you're Luke McEwen, you see that happen and you're saying, all right, well, if I didn't have enough of a relaxing gap back to Costantini, this is going to make matters much better. 20 points now, given the mistake and given the situation for Costantini there on the opening lap of the race. And remember last season, the championship drama, given Diogo Pinto had to go out and win that race to put himself back in the fight for the championship. Phil Krause had a less than ecstatic effort in the mid-pack in top 16, plus some contact and some damage that derailed his chance of getting back in it all. Wow, what a first lap, and Costantini has a lot of work to do Still have to wait for how long that damage is going to take him to fix, but if it's going to be long enough, it is right now. He's already fallen a lap shy of the leaders. And Florian Labigra says, how about it? I'm just going to take second in the championship. Fastest lap, 107.
Surprised that Costantini actually hasn't dropped further through the field. So wait to see how that all cycles out. Meanwhile, the reason why Jaden Munoz was having to burn through so much of his push to pass is he's defending from the drivers that started on the alternates, Toth, Berrien and Mateo, and already 15 seconds burned there. Let's go back to the start of the race and see where potentially the championship was lost in the David versus Goliath story. Team VRS, Michele Costantini, the winner in Indy on the outside of, well, Phil Kraus, I believe that is, as they work out from turn 3 down the bottom of the track. Oh, the Sheza Esports car checks them up. And it's the slightest of contacts, I think, with potentially Josh Thompson or one of the red line drivers, but it's so innocuous, and instantly the damage is done to the left rear suspension.
Yeah, it was Josh Thompson who had nowhere to go. I mean, you're boxed in when you have Phil Kraus to your outside, and then you have not much space on the inside to a very narrow turn 4 that has so much speed to be taken with it that, you know, it really chokes the drivers to make any side-by-side passes. Thompson with nowhere to go. He hits the rear tire of Michele Costantini, and I'm sure, I mean, there are some feelings of, oh, I don't know if I feel bad for doing that, and it wasn't the situation that he wanted to be in, and he watched a battle right in front.
And this is where, KB, those alternate tires, Jaden Munoz is doing a great job of checking them up, and David Toth trying to look the outside, now defends from Peter Berryman, his Drago teammate Nicholas Mateo, red and white cars respectively, and then Dan Amor tucked in behind. Jaden Munoz down to 165 seconds of his 200 seconds of push to pass, already almost burned through a quarter of it.
Yeah, it's a lot in this first sector, and you know, really, you look at Laguna Seca, and apart from all of the technical corners, there are a lot of high-speed corners as well, some of the long straightaways that you can burn that push to pass as much as possible. So in this turn for defense right now on the primary tires, I mean, it's kind of what you got to do if you want to keep up that pace. We saw that a lot at Mid-Ohio from the long straightaways, turn 1, and watch the move underneath Peter Berryman, not going to give the inch to David Toth right now in the fight to turns 1 and 2. He'll keep the nose underneath, probably bring a teammate in Mateo with him, and he shuts him off at the source. David Toth with no way to respond, and Berryman with a textbook pass into 10th.
My goodness, KB, that was remarkable. Let's go back in time once more. Ride with Josh Thompson as this fighting continues. Oh, big send from Mateo with that white Drago car, and now, let's see, on the bottom, nothing really you can do, the slightest of moments to react, KB. And Thompson's, we were talking about this pre-race, no one wants to get involved in drama that impacts the championship contenders.
Yeah, no one wants to be a part of it, no one wants to play a big role in that, and of course Thompson, I'm sure, is a little bit mad about that, you know, saying, I don't know if I should have been a part of that, and I'm close to the situation. And now there's more damage, this time to the third place driver in the championship. Michael Romanidis is going to be back behind David Toth. There was some contact there entering turns 10 and 11. You see that bit of the front wing on the left side of the car. It is gone and out of there. And of course, like we've seen throughout regular road course races this season, you get any bit of front wing damage and this car is going to steer like a brick on wheels. It is going to not want to respond to any input. The downforce will not give you space. And now it's Sam Piper with the pressure.
And you got to remember, you were talking about this, the car's got to be agile, right? It's a track like this, and so aero balance is going to be crucial. Romanidis are going to be so vulnerable, and now, not just Sam Koituk, but there goes Phil Kraus, who's on the primary tires. Next up in queue will be Josh Thompson, and then Pablo Espes, Elliot Veyron. And we're still a good 10 laps shy of potentially getting into the pit window for Michael Romanidis. It's going to be a long 10 laps from here. He's already 15 seconds adrift from the leaders.
And it's very different from a chaotic filled race like Portland. Remember back earlier in the season where a bunch of drivers got front end wing damage, but they could hold on for the most part, even if they had a diminished race car and lesser speed, because the distance was so large because of all those crashes that the drivers could use that buffer to their advantage. Without that here at Laguna Seca, you have all of these cars right on top, ready to pounce. And look at the big send by Mateo Quenzer there in turns 1 and 2 as Esteban Rodriguez falls out of line in the very same part of the track. You have less of that buffer, and therefore, of course, a lot more pressure all around you. Look at the onboard from Roman Neves, and right now it's just damage control. Do what you can to limit any more sketchy situations that you could find yourself in, especially here, where any slip up on either of these corners is going to send you out into the gravel, into the sand. And we mentioned it pre-race, Arjuna, 1X's and off-track penalties are going to be crucial, because for getting all that speed, you could very well get some tires off and into the gravel or the sand and find yourself building that up over the course of the race.
Into the fight with, once again, those on slightly different tires. On the left side, illuminating green when the drivers begin to work through their push to pass. Oh, out wide there goes one of the Seca Esports machines, and that's David Toffey now once again. Another squeeze into that wall as they crest over the run through turn 1. Yes, that is called turn 1 here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And then Phil Kraus, second in the championship back in 2024, opens the steering up, escorts David Toff out wide, who's already burned through 51 seconds of the 200 seconds of push to pass. In comparison, Kraus has got so much more of it left. And now as we work lap 8 of this race, we're talking Alessandro Bico, and while championship maybe can be put to one side for the most part, KB, Bico on the primary tire, only 4 seconds off the leader right now, is in a great spot to potentially win his first race as we ride on board with Josh Thompson, who's still buried in the traffic further back.
And remember, Arjuna, this is around the crossover point of those red-walled, sidewall, alternate tires. So you have a bit of that burst of speed early on, and if you're a primary tire user, you're starting to relish in the speed that you're picking up right now. And part of that, you saw it in the result in turn 2, and Andretti hairpin the pass for Phil Kraus on David Toth and Josh Thompson on David Toth. A bit of red sidewall on red sidewall friendly fire here in turn 1. Huge sand by Toth there in turn 2 will keep him alongside right in front of one of those cars behind him, Pablo Espes, in the 11 machine. But again, the crossover point has hit, so the primary tires are starting to really enjoy the pace that they're creeping up with right now. And all about that decision to stay as long as possible before you inevitably have to come in. Oh, look at the block there by Toth.
And now as they begin to climb the hill that will leave them both vulnerable, they ride on top of one another, and the season will end in misery. Oh, Toth in the gravel, which now in the real world is a lot of tarmac that you can run off into. He's lost the front wing, and poor Pablo Espes has lost the rear wing. Oh, not how you want the season to end. Once more, by the way, left side of the screen, look at the tires. Called out Bico, Pinto, Gustavo Ariel, Jaden Munoz, all within 10 seconds of the leaders right now. Are we about to see a bit of afters? Pablo Espes and David Toth nursing their cars back to pit lane. It is a tricky pit lane they've got to navigate through as well. I'm not quite sure why David Toth thinks he's going to be able to take his car around without the front left or right of that actual downforce plane.
Well, it almost seems like Arjuna, he sees it's lap 10. He sees that the red wall tires are going to start to fall off at some point. So at this point, he's going to squeeze those tires for whatever they're worth at this point, and then hop on to the main primary tires if he can for the rest of this race. So, I mean, he's back in 21st. He's continuing to lose positions, but potentially the hope that he can just stay out there for longer. Here's another look at the replay here. So Josh Thompson makes the pass. It's David Toth, that red, white, and green Seca Esports car. He makes a faint block there on the inside. Pablo Espes narrows up the entry to the corner in turn 5. And we saw, just like it was entry turn 4 that happened to Josh Thompson, Arjuna, last week in Mid-Ohio. The corner narrows up. It's very fast. So the inside car slips up, and there's the issue.
Meanwhile, as Redline teammates fight further behind, it's Ricardo Rico starting to go defensive, his alternate tire starting to wear. I've just been keeping an eye on points calculations. Eduardo Leo leading this race. If my numbers are correct, which never trust my calculator, he is 1 point behind of Florian Lebiger, which means bonus points. Leading the most laps is going to be vital here and there. Potentially couple of $1,000 fight for third in the championship. Pinto and Ariel now surely going to get aggressive on the run to turn one. Pinto's got 165 seconds of the push to pass left. But Ricardo Rico's been pretty economical so far. Only dipped into the push to pass well, about 28 seconds. And he's got plenty to defend with as we close lap 11 of this race.
And for Rico, he's got nothing to lose. He sits in this event 26th in this 2026 championship. So riding in the top 10 and a great look there off of turn 11 with Pinto putting on that fire heading over to turn 1. I mean, he's going to do whatever he's got to try and either go out and win a race or have a fantastic finish. He has 2 top 10s this season. Both of them have come on the road courses at Portland and then started 7th to finish in that exact same spot in the only international race in Mugello. So if I were Ricardo Rico, I'd do the same thing, and if not, maybe try and help some of my teammates get better in the point standings. You look at a driver like Peter Berryman, 15th, a couple $500 differences could be there between the top 11 and 15th place drivers in the points. So Rico's going to do whatever he can to hold on to this defensive wall, but he's got a lot of pace so far.
Had to go all the way down to 20th to find Rico, but he's only 1 point off the 68 of Sota Muto, who's had to be down on pit lane once today. He's also only 1 point clear of the 60. One of the Nexus Esports machines, Esteban Rodriguez. You can see just how tight it is a little bit further down through the field. Alessandro Bico has lost a little bit of time to your leaders, but I don't think that's a worry for him. I think the increased worry is that he's dipping into the push to pass well a little bit more. Let's jump back up and catch up with Eduardo Leo, Florian Lebiger, and a little bit further behind, Luke McEwen. What do you think is going through his mind right now, KB? Surely someone told him, because he will have realized by himself, I'm sure, at this point, someone will have told him Costantini's been involved in an incident, stay out of trouble, and the title could be yours.
Honestly, given the way that McEwen has handled this race so far, and even the way he handled Mid-Ohio when his backup was against the wall, he needed to go out and win that race to give himself a remote shot at the championship heading into tonight. I think he's cool as a cucumber right now, Arjuna. He's just chilling where he's at, and he's got the safety net of his own teammates. He did that last week at Mid-Ohio to then eventually take the lead and win the race outright. Now he's got less pressure to even do that. So whatever strategy he's been thinking about to either go out and win this race and dominate, that's seemingly thrown out the window. So save the push to pass, save the tires, be right where you are, because given the gap that has occurred right now with the red line cars, and even if it back to Alexander Spetz, the Drago Racing entry running 4th, I mean, I'm just straight up chilling if I'm Luke McEwen, because all he needs is just to complete the rest of this race cleanly and safely. He's got a championship.
Just to add to the other accolades that he's already won, including the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship. Oh, big send to the inside by his teammate. As we're talking accolades, they're talking points. Ricardo Rico has become the cork in the bottle to the point where he's actually compromised Pinto, Ariel, and Munoz into Berryman, Mateo, and Amor. Oh, up and under, beautifully done by the Portuguese driver. His teammate will follow suit as well. Pinto and Ariel, oh, sweep through. And is that going to be 3 as they crest over the top into the corkscrew? It's not quite Alex Zanardi, but Jaden Munoz on the outside as they plunge down into Rainy Curve. It becomes the inside. The cork's finally out of the bottle. Does Rico head to pit lane in the next couple of laps?
And that is such a textbook move by Jaden Munoz. Gutsy to keep it on the outside of the corkscrew and hope that it was all going to work out, and it does. Once again, it's that tire blend that we're reaching the crossover point, especially as we edge closer to halfway. These primary tires have the life. The red wall tires do not have any of the grip left. So it's really just planting the wall and hoping that it doesn't crack and that the armor doesn't break in any sense. But Jaden Munoz with a wonderful move. And now you ask the question, well, what do the teammates do? Does Berryman move inside? Does Ricardo Rico give him the lane? Or do these two start to fight amongst themselves and it's just a Rico preservation mode? Switch back to the inside in turn 5, and Berryman's got 9th.
Ricardo Rico at one point had 180 seconds of push to pass left. That was 3-4 laps ago. make it now 141. And I think his teammate Nicholas Matteo was feeling the heat from Dan Amor, who has the ignominy of coming into this race, officially having lost 108 positions this season relative to where he has qualified. He's been a good qualifier, second, third on a couple of occasions. And as finally Ricardo Rico bails to pit lane, I look at poor Dan Amor, who would have wanted so much more in this 2026 INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series season. And as we enter the pit window, a little bit nervy there, unloading the car down the hill. Race lead has ballooned up, I say ballooned, to a full second momentarily for Eduardo Leo, really putting the afterburners into full effect right now.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose here. He's just going to do whatever he's got, and he still has 141 seconds left of his push to pass. So while, yes, he has used it a bit more in this race than some other drivers have, I mean, he's got the gap up in front, and now that we're really getting into the details of pit road strategy, I wouldn't be too concerned if I'm Eduardo Leo, and given the fact that his teammates are around him either, they're going to keep it as cohesive as they can. There's Alex Vandersen to the inside of Michael Romanidis. That's the pass for 19th. Remember, Romanidis had the wing damage at the beginning of this race. He did not come down pit road, so he has lasted this car for as long as it's taken him to be out here. I mean, he's bled so many positions that at this point it's starting to become much more of a bigger factor. But at this point, he's going to give it all that he's got as more cars are down pit road, and Josh Thompson is one of them.
Alex Spetz, the first of the cars in, though, so he slots in from fourth. Qualified first, of course, at Portland, it's Spetz, but outside of that, the highlights have been few and far between. Just 3 top 10s to speak of, not a top 5 on the board. He's going to come out in some clean air, and that's important for him. We've also reached the point at which Michael Romanidis can slot into pit lane and take a couple of extra seconds, go up on the front jack and get the front wing replaced as well. So benefit to him. A second splitting the front 3, and neither of them, or any of them, bailing off to pit lane just yet. So they clearly feel very, very comfortable. And so just Berryman Matteo alongside the front 3, KB, left out on these alternate tires. They're extending them as far as they can go.
You got to give them credit as well. They used it well. They saved their tires as much as they could. And now this is really where they're going to maximize the overcut strategy to go make it halfway and then last on the primary tires for the rest of it. And you see that last pit stop lap on the left side of your screen, and all those at the bottom of the tower, that's all those at the back that have come in, Romanidis being one of them. And again, waiting for everyone to finally put themselves on pit road. But honestly, not a bad call for those two, in Berryman and Matteo for Drago Racing. Fast at the beginning, and they've let this distance take control.
Today's coverage is brought to you by Thrustmaster and the T598 steering wheel. Feel racing sensations like never before with T598 and its direct axial drive motor, the next generation of direct drive. This motor allows for perfect clear wheel rim motion with no cogging for high fidelity force feedback. Scan the QR code to learn more. Thrustmaster, drive into a new era of sim racing. Our race leader is down to pit lane, and Eduardo Leo, who all those months ago was our very first pole sitter and very first race winner in this INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series back in 2024, hits his marks, and now crucially as Labigre and McEwen left to their own devices, maximum attack. Where does Leo come out in comparison to the likes of Alexander Spetz? Will he be in some clean air, KB? Because if he is, he's going to now have to put it into hyperdrive mode if he was in the afterburners territory before.
Well, there's only one car in front of him as he came out of turn 2, and that's Elliot Bayron, one of those Coeta Esports cars. And it's still a bit of a distance between Leo and Bayron, 13th and 14th on the racetrack. So I wouldn't really call it turbulent air since Leo's not up there yet, but it will become a bit more of a challenge as this race continues to progress forward. And as you watch some of those further back in the field, you know, where they're going to end up given the situations they have been in all race long, just finding their way. And here come the leaders on pit road, and that does include championship leader right now, Luke McEwen. So that will hand the lead to Alessandro Bico, who's looking for his career best finish in 2026. Several others come down pit road as well. Peter Berryman has decided halfway is the mark where he closes his stint on the red wall tires. A smart move. Now he's got 20 more laps to hold on to those primaries.
For Alessandro Bico, if he can go one more lap, he will get a bonus point. Could be crucial for him in the fight to inch inside of the top 10 in points. Where's Labigra come out relative to Leo? Will we see a switch on the pit calls? Yes, we do. Leo sandwiched by Labigra and McEwen. So the Frenchman will take the net lead of the race. And you can see where Bico has been through the course of the running. As low as 5th. Currently running in 1st, but of course scored 3rd at the line. And will be scored 1st this time by. So KB crucial for Labigra and Leo. That's also switched their championship positions potentially. Remember, Leo could have held on to 3rd in points if he led the most laps and won this race. He's got to get it done on track now.
Yep, and he's right there to Labigra's tail, so it's not like Leo is going to let Labigra get away with this one easily, although Labigra does have the 1 lap better tires. I don't feel that it's that big of a difference right now for them to have such a large discrepancy in speed. So they'll be right alongside each other. And I'd imagine that Luke McEwen probably thinks, hey, don't be too aggressive up there. Let me catch up. Let's have this run together. Let's try our best to do whatever we can. There's the onboard look with Robert Malechka. A very deep start in this race. Arjuna, the fact that he didn't set a qualifying time. His teammate Alexander Russell had set 2, but nullified both of them, potentially for off-track excursions. So he had to deal with a very deep start, and what a comeback it's been. Robert Malechka to try and climb through halfway in this field and staying out on the strategy.
Remember, he will pit and drop probably outside of the top 25. Oh, close call there with Rico. Does not want to hang around. 7 and a bit seconds, the gap between Alessandro Bico and Diogo Pinto. Pinto, who now pits at the end of lap 21, joined by Gustavo Ariel. Looks like Sam Koitet will be in, following in Nicholas Matteo. Drivers that have decided that they can now go from here to the end on the alternate compound of tire. It's 119 Fahrenheit track temperature, so fairly constant from where we started this race. Be very keen to see where Pinto's going to blend out. Elliot Veyron defends from Florian Labigra. Oh, this is really holding up the first driver to have come down pit lane. Is it going to be a chance for his teammate Eduardo Leo to retake the lead here as the Frenchman squabble in towards turn number 5? Veyron well within his rights to hold on to the racing line right now, and it's such a narrow track that you just can't make any moves. A little bit further back as we pick in Diogo Pinto and Alex van der Sant. Clean air in front, rear view mirrors filled with the side of that Powerslide Motorsports machine.
And Gustavo Ariel is not too far behind either, with Peter Berryman on his tail. So should these two get together, it will be a singing quartet here at Laguna Seca, trying to vouch for 13th on back. Meanwhile, Labigra gets a move on the inside in turn 11, so he makes up for the mistake with Elliot Veyron locking up the tires off the final corner, and Labigra's going to have the spot momentarily. They chase side by side, and they'll touch in 1 and 2. To the inside goes Eduardo Leo, and Elliot Veyron loses 2 in the span of a straightaway and a half.
He was doing what he could, but it wasn't going to be enough. Now Luke McEwen's wise to this. Knows the championship hangs in the balance, and KB, there is no point in taking any risk right now. He'll wait for Veyron to duck down to pit lane.
Oh man, I mean, that could not have gotten any closer between those two. And again, Luke McEwen is behind all of this, Arjuna, so he's thinking, please do not junk the race car, do not do anything stupid. I'm running for the championship. I do not want y'all in a mistake here, especially right now. But Elliot Veyron's going to give it all that he's got. He is pushing at 150% right now. And also, he is on the primary tires. He still has to come down pit road, so he will have to slap on the alternate tires. He's going to squeeze as much speed. He's going to dive in turn 11. underneath Eduardo Leo. He's planted, he's fired, he's got a shot on the main straightaway to turn 1. Veyron noses ahead.
And he's just at this point playing rear gunner for the rest of the field, helping his fellow Frenchman at this point, Florian Lebigra, to escape to what could be a race win. Don't discount Alessandro Pico. Gustavo Ariel from 11th punches in the fastest lap of the race as he uses alternate tires to great effect. But Alessandro Pico should be in within the next lap or two, you would think, to maximize the opportunity on the alternate tires to push to the end of the race. And here he comes, KB.
Pico down on pit road. Munoz in second will follow. Phil Kraus is still coming off the final 2 corners, so he'll switch to the left. He'll also come down pit road. So this is going to get fun. Arjuna seeing this blend properly take shape with Elliot Veyron right in front. Lebigra has taken pure control of the net race lead right now. And if I'm McEwen, this is a smart decision. And then up until now, Veyron finally decides it's his turn to come down pit road. So now there's no pressure, but he was willingly giving the distance to Elliot Veyron and Lebigra. He did not want any problems there.
And so now the blend between Pico and Lebigra, it's not between Leo and McEwen. Alessandro Pico has emerged in the lead of this race, and it's 6/10 to the good with the better tire, 16 laps to go, and the rookie could be on for a potential first victory in the series. Firing up those tires, still trying to get them as warm as possible. Lebigra knows this is where his opportunity could be. Half shape to the inside as they sweep through the left-hander. But up to the corkscrew. Time made up in pit lane. About a second and a half or so. And now Williams F1 team gaining control of the front.
Yeah, it was just about 0.8 of a second to the better of Pico on his stop. An 8.2 second stop with 9.4 for Florian Lebigra. The only killer for Pico right now is that he has way less push to pass. 96 seconds available for him, 121 seconds, and both of them light up green on the tower. They have to use it in order to play offense and defense at the very same time. And they'll enter turn 1, they'll hop off the green button. And there's a look at both of them. I mean, Pico really impressed me last week at Mid-Ohio, qualified 8th, worked up to the top 6, and he's even impressing here with 15 laps to go with a chance for the win.
Also a fight for 6 potentially as Jaden Munoz, Diogo Pinto, Gustavo Ariel, a couple of other battle packs brewing. But what a fight we've got at the front. And with championships being able to be put aside for the most part, drivers now free to push the limits that little bit more. Track limit, something that KB, you flagged earlier, something that you thought would be an issue here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Yeah, because there's no runoff here at this track. So any given mistake that you have, you're going to run off into the sand. And you think, well, we had the same deal at Mid-Ohio, right? Well, yes, but theoretically here at Laguna Seca, since all these corners are flatter and a lot of them carry more speed in the apex, you're thinking about wanting to shave off time. You're going to use every bit of the asphalt. So with all the exits of the corners, you can easily get the 2 right side or 2 left side tires into that sand, and that's an easy 1X. Even if you don't scrub off speed, that builds up over time, so you really have to be disciplined in how you place your car at any given moment across the track.
Former teammates at the Apex Racing team, Peter Berryman now with Drago Racing, Dan Amor with Coanda Esports. And for Dan Amor, on for what could be his best finish of the season. Quite hard for me to say out loud that Dan Amor's best finish has been a pair of 8th place finishes, but it's the way the cookie has crumbled in 2026. Look how things have flipped around now that the majority of the field is on the alternate tire and only a handful on the primaries. Phil Kraus came into this race 4th in points, lights up the screen with push to pass as he makes the move on Nicolas Mateo, and that is the alternate tire on display, sweeping through turn 5.
And he's got one more car as well. That is Peter Berryman, although the gap is rather large at about a 2nd and 7/10. So it's going to take a while before Kraus gets there, but a gutsy call right before the Rahal straight to make a move down the inside. That's such a narrow piece of track, and here comes Jaden Munoz looking to the inside of Alexander Spetz. This is also a difference on tires. Munoz has the faster alternate right now, makes the clear-cut decision to the inside of turn 2, and a wonderful pass from Jaden Munoz, who has kind of sputtered a bit, Arjuna, in the last few races. Ever since his win at Portland, hasn't had a top 10 until last week in Mid-Ohio. I'm sure Munoz loves the scene right now, running in the top 5.
He's only got 30 seconds of push to pass left. Specs with 128 seconds. Problem is, he's running out of time to make use of that. So try and do so before the season comes to an end. Left side of the screen, look at the total allotment left. You can see Jaden Munoz, 5th spot, 30 seconds left on the board, as he tries to work his way potentially into the top 10 in points, but looking like an outside chance. Highlighted in green right now is the World Sim Racing driver, as the gap at the front is up to 3.3 seconds. Now it's going to grow quickly, but as much as the string is being stretched out, it's going to compress once again at the end, just like a slinky, because those alternate tires are going to start to go off the cliff. The primaries will come good, and Florian Lebigra could still have a chance. Diogo Pinto is enjoying the best, though, of the alternate tires. Not quite at that cliff. What's he got for Alexander Spets? Spets currently 11th in the point standings. Diogo Pinto sat in 4th in comparison.
Yeah, the two drivers looking for a good end to 2026, and you think on the alternate tires, you just gotta go, because all that advantage is gonna go away, and if you save your tires, you still won't be faster than all those on the primary. So gotta be real disciplined here for Pinto, but former winner here at Laguna Seca, and this is proper striking distance. So I think I like this, Arjuna, if you're Pinto.
And look at the points on the right, KB. Costantini has headed back out onto track, but given the way that the points are paid out, he still will be second. There'll be a slender margin back to Lebigra, then Leo, then Kraus, then Romanidis, changing around slightly, of course, as battles brew, but look how close it is even through the top 11 right now.
And all that is for cash prize, by the way, Arjuna. We see the difference in a couple $100, $1,000. I mean, all right, money isn't everything. It's all about racing, Arjuna. But if you can grab a couple extra dollars in your pocket after tonight and get a bit more of a payout, I mean, anyone likes that, right? I don't think anyone would say no to the opportunity.
What do the kids say nowadays? Dollar bills?
Well, it's something like get your bag. I think that's like secure the bag, something like that. I don't know.
Showing my age. Jaden Munoz trying to get that bag right now. Closed up to Eduardo Leo. I think he might be on the cusp of reaching past Eduardo Leo, a little bit closer to Florian Lebigra, and then falling off that cliff as we plunge down out of rainy curve once again. Such a wonderful track that for the most part has been untouched by modern motorsports accoutrements, such as runoff on either side of the racetrack. However, still beautifully recreated here in iRacing. And for more information how to log on and jump behind the wheel of this Dallara IR18, well, head to iRacing.com. New memberships are 40% off. Might have to rip KB and myself out of the lead of one of these races, whether it's in the iRacing INDYCAR series, maybe in the iRacing INDYCAR Next series, or maybe KB over in the NASCAR iRacing series as well.
Yeah, well, don't trust me behind the wheel. I won't bring in some pace at all. I will be meandering around the track as best as I can. But yeah, look, I mean, if you really want to get into it, the INDYCAR iRacing series, that begins this week. So a whole year-long INDYCAR season that follows the real-life calendar that starts in just a couple of weeks, Arjuna. We're going to be real-life INDYCAR racing in a bit. So I'm sure that everyone that's involved in these R18s, they love to see it.
It's this weekend that we go racing for the first round of the NTT INDYCAR series. So while they go racing in St. Pete, you can't do that until week 3 in this iRacing INDYCAR series. And that, of course, takes the place of the Arlington Street Race. So instead, week 1, 3 time slots remain. You can go racing at the Sebring International Raceway. And for those that were reading the iRacing dev blog, a little sneak peek. See, trick of the tongue there, and I didn't even mean to do that. Sneak peek, not sneak peeked, at the upcoming St. Petersburg Street Circuit. A fun fight between one of our main storylines on some of the oval rounds, although Esteban Rodriguez tangled up in some of the early Carnage is going to have to duck down to pit lane for the second time today, KB. And unfortunately, for the Nexus Esports pair, Kwame Scott also not having a great run. It's not the easiest of sign-offs to their season.
It's not, but I mean, they've learned a lot, especially on the road courses. I mean, they got caught in one of the seasons here where it is predominantly road courses. I think if you had given them the 2024 calendar with the healthy balance of both, I think the ovals would have definitely helped them, and still some bright spots. That Nashville race was really great for them on a top 10 effort. So I think even though they're going to come away with this race just a bit short on their expectations, still a lot they can learn from what they've experienced this year and possibly take it into a possible next season.
What you're watching right now is Michele Costantini. Championship hopes thrust aside after the early drama in this race. 24 laps to drift, KB, but he's on the faster tire right now and holding up Florian Lebigra slightly. I say holding up. I wonder here if Costantini could actually end up being Alessandro Bico's best friend right now. Of course, fellow Italians. I'm not saying there's any gamesmanship by any means, but sometimes, like I said earlier, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
And also with the tire difference in favor of Bico, plus that he's on the alternates, he has used so much of that tire advantage already that because he has this 6+ second gap, he can just hang out for the next 7-ish laps and have Costantini continue this defensive ball and just make it even easier for him. So for Bico, I mean, that was a smart decision. Use the fire, use the grip, do whatever you can. Lebigra's just thinking about what way he can get around Costantini without an issue. He's going to choose the outside here in turn 2.
Which sometimes works, but really you need the grip advantage, which he doesn't have right now. Costantini on relatively fresh alternate tires. This goes back to what we were saying earlier, difficult to pass. Always hard to read the expressions of sim racers. They're usually cool, calm and collected. But Florian's looking a little bit worked up right now, which I don't know if that's a reflection on him feeling aggrieved or necessarily just the physical nature of this track, KB. No power steering in these Indy cars, of course.
Yeah, you've got all that force feedback behind the wheel as well, and knowing these professional sim racers, a lot of them have those direct drive setups, so it's going to give them the full brunt of force feedback, all the undulations and the bumps and all these curves take you out for a whip. So Lebigra is going to use that physicality, hopefully to get around Costantini in this pressure for the race lead that still continues to grow. And you already witnessed there, light turning green for Lebigra, so he wants to use this push to pass to get right around Costantini, but the 66 car isn't making it easy, Arjuna. He continues to shut off the inside in turn 1.
Well, there's going to be some conversation after this race, I have no doubt about that. And while we'll have to say that the results will be provisional, we have race control that will review things after the race. So far, Luke McEwen has stayed out of all the drama, and that's exactly what a championship hopeful needed. And a championship hopeful who, Portland, remember he got tangled up with Alex Spetz, Phoenix and Nashville, pair of oval races that, at least for Redline, Nashville went okay, but Phoenix, they were out sea with really no hope. McEwen has maximized his opportunities where he can. Jaden Munoz has done the same and clawed onto the back of Eduardo Leo. At one point, Eduardo Leo fighting for third in the points. With how things have swung, he's all the way down to 6th now in points, third on track. Could get worse. Here comes the World Sim Racing, number 24.
And not only can Munoz strike on Eduardo Leo, you look at the lap times, he continues to be a bit faster. Esteban Rodriguez with the fastest lap now. But look at how close all these drivers are. With Costantini right in front of Lebigra, this continues to get closer lap by lap. So not only can Munoz gain 1, he can gain at least 2. Now Lebigra forces his way under. So that will hurt some of those drivers behind a bit, but they are real close with 5 laps to go. This is still an open bout.
I think now that one's got through, the floodgates open, and he fought hard, but KB, once Lebigra bullied his way through, Costantini has finally put out the white flag.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so long you can hold on to that defense before eventually there's going to be an aggressive move here and there, and then there's contact, and then what do you know? You think about it, split second, and both of your races are over. So smart decision, but Costantini was giving him the run of a lifetime, trying to give it all a last gasp on Lebigra here, but that doesn't mean that Leo and Munoz have separated anymore. In fact, they've actually gotten closer. They have been much faster than Lavigra here. They are nearly a full half-second faster on this last lap. They have set 108.3s, Lavigra on a 108.5, and now even a bit slower. So here comes Eduardo Leo to the inside.
It's a change between them. I think Alessandro Bico, with 4 laps to go, has got this race locked up as Luke McEwen got the championship locked up potentially as well. There is first in points, passing second in points. Oh, how heartbreaking for Michele. And some will say, you know, he fought a fight that he didn't need to in the end of these closing stages of this race. He wanted to go out there and maybe make a bit of a statement to himself and to the rest of the teams. So you can see on the left side, points on the right side. 3 laps to go at the line. Red line about to go back-to-back in this championship, KB, which, remember, we were unsure how they would take to the ovals, and they really responded this season. Look at how Diogo Pinto stormed to victory lane at Nashville.
Yeah, they've learned so much, and to see that moment, I think that was the break through the ceiling, right, for Redline to finally get a big-time win on the oval. And even then, it was late in the championship. It wasn't early on. It was late where they still had to learn so much, and after the trials and tribulations of Indy and Phoenix, I mean, they really stepped up in a big way. But again, with this schedule, a lot of them being those road courses, they have to minimize the negatives on the ovals. And it's been Luke McEwen spearheading that entire charge. He's been so consistent all season long, and with his oval performances, even in 2024, you think that there was a possibility he could have won the championship or given himself a shot at that moment. And now closing it out in these final 3 laps, I mean, what an ending to the title for Luke McEwen.
Alessandro Bico may have been given a slight helping hand, but again, we have praised his effort this season. And I have no doubt that as things run right now, Bico will be the best rookie this season and grab a win to close things out. Left side highlighted in green, Jaden Munoz. 2 laps to go when we cross the stripe. 6 seconds of push to pass. Now, the reason why you see some other drivers, KB, with more push to pass, you know, I see 104 for Kenza, 49 for Kraus. Push to pass takes fuel, and some of these drivers have been managing their fuel reserves as well.
Yeah, and it depends on how early they came down pit road. A lot of them came around halfway, and you know, you want to make sure you have at least a bit of that to the end of this event. But I'd imagine for Jaden Munoz, that's the mentality of, I'm going to catch these guys. I'm going to go for extra positions. This is the last race. I've got nothing to lose. I'm in a solid place in the championship anyway, to the point where he's still going to get a hefty cash prize out of it. So just throw it all out, let the sink in, do whatever you can to just gain those 2 spots. And I'm sure he was hoping that Costantini could have held up Lavigra and company just a little bit longer, because now that crossover point is starting to reach the negative for Munoz and in the positive of the 2 red line cars in front.
1 lap to go, not just in this race, but in this season. And what a ride it has been. As the virtual ride comes to an end, a reminder, 2026 NTT INDYCAR Series kicks off this weekend with the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Catch the action live on Fox, 12 p.m. Eastern. And then jump maybe into the final running of one of our iRacing INDYCAR Series full-length races in 2026. 1 more lap for McEwen, 1 more lap for Bico up front. I don't know how much chopping and changing there's going to be here. Munoz has burned through all his push to pass in his hope to try and get to the podium. Alessandro Bico, half a lap more to become what will be the 7th race winner this season.
And what a drive for Bico. I mean, that crossover point, you think of the experience of Florian Labigra, but you think of the experience outside of this series for Alessandro Bico. A fantastic defense, fantastic pushover, and now Arjuna going to be an INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing winner.
Couple of wins in the Porsche Esports Super Cup through the years for Alessandro Bico. But as he transitions those skills into the open wheels, he finally conquers victory lane at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And look at what it means to him. But out of the final corner, 2 years in a row, red line will reign supreme. McEwen sprinkles his magic. Your 2026 INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series champion, KB.
And he's had this whole race to take it all in. You know, it's unfortunate news when you hear that the championship competitor was out of it so early on without a chance to properly give himself a fight. But for Luke McEwen, I mean, compelling season that he's put together. To win the race at Long Beach, to be consistent through the first 4, to get a top 10 at Indianapolis, and even though things looked a little shaky at the back end, I mean, he stood out clutch last race in Mid-Ohio and clutch tonight for a top 5 to win the title.
You know, if you looked at his sports car credentials, second in 2 different seasons in the MC Esports Global Championship, second in 2 different seasons of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. But in these open wheels, 2024 FIA Formula 4 Esports Global Champion, and now 2026 INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series Champion. Brighton's own gets it done. The only repeat winner this season. 7 winners in 8 races. Only Luke McEwen able to repeat victory lane trips. And these burnouts becoming familiar to him as he celebrates yet another championship in those red line colors. Oh, don't break the suspension, Luke. Car needs to go on display after this.
Yeah, you got to keep it clean, but this is burning out here at Laguna Seca. That is, I'm sure, so full of elation. Luke McEwen took it all in those final few laps, understood he was the champion and a winner in his own eyes with a top 5, stepped it up big time, and give credit to Alessandro Bico coming alive in these final 2 races and closing out the 2026 season with a dub.
Oh, he'll be thrilled. Can't wait for you to catch up with the Italian. That's 2 Italians to have won this season. Alessandro Bico helping hand from another Italian to pull away from Eduardo Leo, while Florian Lebigra holds on to 3rd in the running order, 3rd provisionally in points as well. Jaden Munoz pushed to the end, but only 4th. He'll be slightly disappointed, you'd think, in that World Sim Racing machine that he couldn't claw his way in front of those red line machines, while Luke McEwen 5th. Good enough for him to be crowned our champion. An average finish of 9.25 this season. Alex Spex down in 6th with Diogo Pinto, our outgoing champion, 7th. Gustavo Ariel, Dan Amor, and Peter Berryman, your top 10. Fellow Drago Racing driver Nicholas Matteo scored in 11th, with Phil Kraus 12th, clawing his way up through the field as much as he could have. Ricardo Rico, Matteo Kenzer, and then Sam Coiter at the top 15. A bit of a separation then to Josh Thompson, with Elliot Veyron late pick for him relative to the leaders, and boy did he cause some drama for them as well. Ballant Parla, Cooper Webster, and Sota Muto. 50 seconds splitting the top 20, and just Jacob Oster and Alex van der Sant scored on the lead lap, with Esteban Rodriguez, Ron Malechka and Alex van der Sant 1 lap down, Pablo Espez 2 laps down, and Michael Romanidis came into this race 3rd in points, will drop all the way to 7th in what was a rough and tumble final round of the season. Kwame Scott, Michele Costantini, heartbreak for the Italian, will finish 2nd in points but 29th to close the season out. David Toth, Celius Veliziotis, and Tamas Simone are 32 cars here tonight. Looking forward to catching up with a first-time winner of INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series, Alessandro Bico with KB.
And the first career win comes in the final race. Alessandro, what a drive at the end on the alternate tires. You weaved away from Florian Lebigra and you just pushed forward for the first win. We saw on the camera just how much it meant to you. But tell us, how much did it mean to you to finally get your first win here this season?
Well, honestly, I did not expect this. I know it will be fast, but not like this. I'm so happy, proud of my team, of the group. We did an amazing work. It was hard during the season, but I think at the end we saw the result of the hard work we put. So I'm very happy. I knew it. I had something because during the season I learned a lot the car, how to be fast and everything. So now it pay off and I'm super happy but proud.
So you watch the strategy unfold. You put yourself on the alternate tires at the end. You blend right in front of Florian Lebiger. You see him less than a car length behind you. What are you thinking in that moment to extend the life of your alternate tires and create the gap that you ultimately did in that final stint?
Yeah, honestly, I was a bit not sure if going for a lap more or not. But I said with the pace I had, I said, let's go. For sure, it's gonna be helpful for later. And on the pit exit, I was a bit nervous, because he was behind, and I knew it that if he was going to overtake me on the out lap, it would be so difficult to overtake. So I said I need to keep him behind, just the out lap, because then from the first lap the alternate tires were just better.
Well, it works out in your favor. Williams gets the win here in 2026. You're going to be the bringer of that first victory. And after last week, a top 10 run at Mid-Ohio, I'm sure this one feels really, really good. Alessandro, we really appreciate the time. Congratulations on the win in this final race of the season at Laguna Seca. Hopefully we get to talk to you sometime soon here on iRacing.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the championship.
Alessandro Bico closes out 2026 in style with the race victory here at Laguna Seca, but a couple spots back in 5th place. There is still a shining moment for Luke McEwen, the 2026 INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series champion. Luke, you saw it all unfold. You ran top 5 all race long. You had a lot of time to really take in the moment, but once you crossed that line, what did that feel like to be a champion?
Yeah, it was, like you say, there's not much in the race. Quali was amazing. I was really, really happy. The first half of the lap was perfect, so I could really just kind of chill and make sure I don't make any mistakes and put in a good lap. And that was really good. That's like the hardest thing, is the qualifying one lap. And then, like you say, the race, pretty simple. I mean, Alessandro in P1, he was so fast. So, fortunately, we couldn't get the win. It would be nice to end in a win, because that would be very nice. But yeah, it was a chill race, and then just a big relief at the end of the race that it's it's come down to this, and it's just nice to know everything went to plan, and we did a really good job as a team.
When you think back to last week, the win for Mid-Ohio, and how interesting that was for you to just from back against the wall to all of a sudden close enough to win the championship here tonight. In retrospect, then how important is that race last week, and then this one just to close it out with a consistent run for the title?
Yeah, coming out of Nashville, knew it was going to be difficult. I think I was 37, 40 points, something like that behind. So I needed to really put on a good performance the last 2 races. And yeah, Mid-Ohio was amazing. It was so good. The quality lap was good. We locked out the top 7, and we just really dominated that race. And that really gave us, or myself and the team, the momentum going into the last round. And once again, we delivered a great car. The car was amazing. The great team. Everyone did a great job. And I'm just super happy to come out with the championship.
Well, Luke, an appreciation here from all of us at iRacing for taking the time with us. A big congratulations on winning the 2026 championship. Go on and celebrate it. We'll see you then.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for running the championship, and hopefully back next year.
Arjuna, that is Luke McEwen, the 2026 INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing champion.
Well, I certainly hope that you and I are not running the championship and there are wiser heads behind the scenes, because boy is there some drama, I suspect, in terms of race control decisions. These are very much unofficial points. McEwen 15 points clear of Costantini. I'm not expecting any change there, but look how close it is through the rest of the field. Leo and Kraus, 1 point between them for 5th and 6th position. Spets and Munoz, there's just 2 points between them. And remember, it's a couple of $100 potentially at play for all of these drivers. What a season has been. Storylines aplenty, and for all our drivers, so much to reflect on. For you, if you've enjoyed watching this INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series, though, just a reminder of what continues this week. The opening round of the INDYCAR iRacing Series full-length races. If you've ever wanted to feel like a Scott Dixon or Will Power, or an Alex Palou. That takes a bit more winning than at least I'm capable of. 3 time slots remain. Opening round takes us to the Sebring International Raceway in place of St. Pete. That comes in week 3. But it's great. Open to anyone, KB, with a D 4.0 license and above. Jump into the INDYCAR and have some fun.
Just a big old welcome to take on the INDYCAR Challenge with these cars that are incredibly fun to drive. And then this schedule, the selection of tracks across road courses, street courses, ovals, and everything along the like. I love the selection of St. Pete on March 19th, a new track to the sim in the new season build, and not too long from now, and then a brand new updated Barber Motorsports Park. That track is getting some princess treatment, so we're going to see a brand new track there, and that's going to be great to see all the drivers take on this entire schedule. Maybe I'll get a shot. We'll see.
I love the mix-ins. St. Pete, of course, replacing the street circuit at Arlington. We're curious to see how that races in the real world. Detroit Belle Isle in place for the slightly less favorable Detroit street circuit we race at now. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in place of, well, the upcoming Markham Toronto street circuit. And then, of course, Chicago street circuit for the upcoming Washington, D.C. race. So much still unknown about that. What fun we've had, though. 8 electric championship rounds in this INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series. And while I don't think you can say Redline ran rampant, it's 2 consecutive championships for Team Redline. And Diogo Pinto hands the crown over to Luke McEwen. For our team behind the scenes, so much thanks to you for joining us for the ride. And here from the Golden Coast, from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, for Kenneth Bueno, Arjuna Kangipati, signing off for the final time this season. But don't forget, plenty more to come on the iRacing Esports Network.